Welcome to Neighbourhood Justice Centre. I'm Kerry Walker, I'm the director here, and I would like to show you today the types of practices that we have put in place to make women feel safe, secure, to give them confidence in justice when they most need it, when they're victims of domestic violence. I'm here in what we call the quiet room, and this room is used for women and their small children during the times in which the court hears applications for family violence intervention orders. When they have young children with them, one of the things we're very aware of is that to separate young children from their mothers when they're in crisis can cause a great deal of anxiety. And so we've made a children's room that has lots of glass where mum can be seen, but also can have some privacy in speaking to a counsellor or a lawyer, and the children can play. They can draw on the walls with blackboard paint, they can draw with pencils, they can play with dinosaurs and make cups of tea on their tables. What we're wanting is to calm the anxiety of small children so that they don't have to be separated from their mums, and also we want to instil in the mother their confidence that they're able to look after their children throughout this ordeal. The Neighbourhood Justice Centre considers itself to be a vanguard in working closely with community, by funding programs, by putting its shoulder to the wheel, by providing safe passage to women, and by connecting in this community to make it stronger and safer and to show stewardship and care of each other. We are joining up the law with really social justice in our community. And what we're trying to do is to approach family violence through the lens of the law and the courts in a different way, a way that really resonates with women and gives them confidence to be able to use the justice system and believe that the justice system can work for them. We know there has been much criticism in the past that the law has not responded well to women. Women have often been invisible, have often been without a voice. The Neighbourhood Justice Centre clearly says in this community in the city of Yarra, women can find their voice here.
So one of the exciting and innovative projects that I've been helping to work on over the last couple of years is the development of an online family violence intervention order application, and gives an applicant the opportunity to apply for a family violence protection order online in a safe place, either on a laptop at home, on a tablet in a public library, in another safe space. It gives the person extra agency in deciding when it's safe for them to apply for an order. By no means takes the place of any urgent need for protection and doesn't replace a police response if that urgent police response is required, and we're very clear about that up front. More importantly, we have included and taken some of the high risk identifiers from the CRAF, the Common Risk Assessment Framework, and incorporated them for the first time into this application form. So in effect, when the form is submitted, and it's submitted securely through to our court registry staff here at the Neighbourhood Justice Centre, it will identify a high risk flag. The person themselves mightn't realise that they're at that level of risk, but it will give that extra protection for when the registry staff then process that application. It will also provide less court time for the applicant sitting at a court or attending at a court. We hope to cut down at least one court visit using this process. It's a much clearer process for the applicant to follow, and that's ultimately the most important. The other advantage of the online application form will be to cut down the time and the double handling. This will convert into significant savings.
Waiting to go before a court can make for a long day. Our court provides free tea or coffee and delicious healthy hot meals. This simple courtesy goes a long way to calming nerves and relieving the boredom of waiting for court. Our clients are greeted by our security team who, unlike other courts, wear suits, not uniforms. We don't use security checkpoints or baggage scans. Everyone who walks through our doors is struck by how calm and welcoming it feels. Sometimes the first steps are the hardest. People experiencing family violence can find the mere act of entering a court building frightening and difficult. If requested, we can meet the applicant at her car or outside the centre and give her safe passage through to the courtroom. Our quiet room is only accessible through a security door. This is a peaceful place for applicants to gather their thoughts and to remain physically separated from the respondent. A small play area attached to the room means parents can talk to their lawyers and support workers whilst keeping an eye on their children at the same time. Our remote witness room gives parties involved in family violence matters and children the ability to give evidence without coming into contact with the respondent. We can get applicants in and out of the building through our secure private stairwell. Our security guards or a member of staff will get the woman safely out of the court.
Well, my name's David Fanning. I'm the Magistrate of the Neighbourhood Justice Centre. My background is that of a lawyer and also a social worker. I originally graduated in social work and worked in a number of areas, including in mental health, in child protection and in assistance to families. I was also the Commissioner for Children in Tasmania. We have always adopted an approach of ensuring that anybody who comes before the court gets appropriate assistance, whatever their matter is. And of course, particularly family violence, we've always been keen to ensure that both applicants or protected family persons and respondents get appropriate assistance and that it's treated seriously. It's crucially important that the person who is the applicant or the protected person gets and has available to them assistance, and that they know that that's available and that it's not just restricted to the day of the court, but that it's ongoing. Other courts struggle to be able to provide the accommodation, have the resources readily available. There are different ways of getting over it, and plainly money and resources, but also being able to readily connect with those community resources is another challenge for courts, and often don't have the time or capacity to be able to do that, because there certainly are a range of different services that do exist in the community and may well have or want to or be keen to have a stronger relationship with the court, but don't know how to go about it, or the court is not able to establish that relationship. As with the Aboriginal Hearing Day that the NJC assisted Heidelberg in establishing after we'd established it here, and it's been very successful, certainly the NJC is open to assisting other courts in developing the work that it's done, engaging with the community and with services that exist in the community. Traditionally, of course, courts have been, as they should be, arbiters, independent arbiters between parties. The family violence area makes it a little more complicated. It's not as in a classic civil dispute or a classic traditional criminal law dispute between parties come to the court in dispute either with another individual in the community or with the state through the police. And the court decides upon the issues. In family violence, it's a bit different because it's not just a matter of arbitrating between the parties. And certainly what I think there should be greater clarity about exactly what the role of the court is in family violence, because it does change. Different people have different views and perspectives about or where does the court fit in the family violence area? Is it just being an arbiter between the two parties? That's certainly one view, and other views is that it has a much greater role in working with the parties to get them off to services, to get the respondent off to behaviour change programs, and to really, as I say, have a much greater role in fact, even supervising what is occurring in regard to the family violence application and the aftermath. There's a lack of clarity because it's relatively new. Criminal law has been around for many hundreds of years, and so there's been a development over nearly 700 years in the common law jurisdiction in our part of the world to develop the way in which courts deal with it. Well, family violence has not had that amount of time at all. It's really only developed in a real sense in the last decade or so. So of course that there's some uncertainty and some confusion and some lack of clarity about, well, what is the role of the court in dealing with or hearing family violence matters. I think it has the potential to get more murky, more uncertain, more unclear. And I think the court, quite rightly, and I think the court broadly, has had a very limited role, and it's recognised that that's been too limited, but then how broad should it go? Applications have always been civil matters, and I don't really see any good reason to change them. I can see no particular benefit in changing them from being civil matters to criminal matters. The real importance of them is the real significance of whether or not they're civil or criminal is not the label, it's how they're enforced. That's what matters. And that's not the court's role, of course, that's the role of police. Clarity about role and about who is doing what and why actually helps that happen, rather than being overstretched and everybody trying to do everything, because then it doesn't work.
This morning I'll be talking about the family violence triage sessions that we hold here at the NJC each Friday morning. I'll just briefly explain that we conduct both the family violence and the personal safety triage meetings, but the main purpose is to look at the files that are listed before the court on the Monday, which is our main day for hearing family violence and personal safety triage meetings. So I conduct that meeting with Penny from Client Services. The main purpose of the meeting is to look at Monday's lists and then go through each case with the view of trying to identify those clients that are listed in the case who might benefit from tapping into some of the support services that we've got here on site. So we have this triage sheet which we methodically work our way through, and just to give you some idea about some of the issues that we identify, parties' names, we need to know which cases it's about, when the matter was last before the court, to see whether it's a first listing of the matter or whether it's been before the court on previous occasions. We also look at whether there's any dependents for either the applicant or the respondent. We discuss whether there's been any family law issues in the past and whether those issues have been addressed or whether they're still pending, because that could potentially have an impact on the family violence matter listed before the court. Similarly, with any if there's children involved, whether there's any child protection issues that the court may need to know about. But also look at other things like whether an interpreter is required. If so, what language? We also address look at whether the person's a Aboriginal or Torres Strait Islander. If so, we'll tap them into one of our Neighbourhood Justice workers here and just make sure that there's the right supports in place. And then we look at any referrals which potentially could be made as a result of some of the allegations that are made in the family violence application for mental health issues of either party, drug and alcohol issues that have been referred, where there's housing issues, which is quite common. especially when you get that scenario if the police have taken out a safety notice and the respondent has, as part of that order, has to vacate the family home or the family unit. And just any other issues that are alleged in the application where we can identify that the person might need assistance from some of the services that we've got here. So from the Friday morning sessions, Penny from Client Services is armed with a lot more information than what she was prior to the meeting, obviously. Penny will approach clients on the Monday morning that are here for their court hearing and take a very softly approach and just alert them to the services that are available here. So it's not uncommon for people coming into the centre not to know that these services are available. So it's good that she can provide them with that information and just let them know if they need the services, they're there for them.
So every Monday is the intervention order day, which looks at personal safety intervention orders and family violence intervention orders. So that's the day set aside when all those matters come to the court. And the resources of the court are put towards supporting that day. So all the meetings beforehand and all that are about managing and planning that single day to make it as smooth as possible so that people can get into court and then leave the court as quickly as they can. Because the longer that they are here for, the more stress that adds for them. So it's about managing their anxieties of being here, getting them through the court system in the easiest possible way. I'm sitting in one of our community rooms downstairs at the Neighbourhood Justice Centre. The room also acts as an overflow room on Family Violence Intervention Order Day, as it's located next to the security officers in the centre and provides an added layer of support for people who are here on the day. The Client Services team at the Neighbourhood Justice Centre is a co-location of community services who work together to provide support for people who come to the centre. The advantages of having the local services on site is it provides an easy access to services locally, it streamlines referrals into services and allows a more immediate response to better meet the needs of people who come here, whether they be applicants or whether they be respondents to matters.
The Client Services team was brought together to actually address the underpinnings of what has brought people into the lists at the Neighbourhood Justice Centre, but also what may bring people into the centre more broadly. So it carries a range of specialties across a range of different disciplines and is composed in the main by actually external service providers, which represents a significant departure from how justice would normally do its business in this area, which would be more about centralising agencies attached to the court. So the Client Services team, as I said before, is composed of external service providers. We carry expertise in mental health, drug and alcohol, family violence, applicant support, victims assistance, housing, financial counselling, employment pathways support. We maintain a chaplain, we have court network involved, we have an intensive mental health outreach support service. And all of those services revolve around a consistent model within the centre, which is a one client-based approach, which allows each of those services to provide their expertise in relation to that client in combination with the other specialties that we have within the centre itself. So our legal practitioners, our correctional components, the court itself, our programmatic division. What we have is a very broad range of service providers, all of whom represent a resource based here and a resource that is attached to their organisation.
I think the Neighbourhood Justice Centre is probably unique in utilising a model like that, where we have at least 3 staff or 4 staff on the day whose role is really to go around, monitor people, check in with them, offer them just some basic, even just a food or drink or something along those lines, and to say if they need anything that we're there to help.
Monday mornings can be quite a noisy affair. We've got a lot of people turning up at the same time, but often having to wait around until their matter is heard, until they've actually seen a duty lawyer or spoken to the police prosecutor. And I think what our process does, it provides that face-to-face contact and personal support, reaching out to people and offering them assistance that's going to help them get through the morning or the afternoon or the whole day if the matter takes a while to be resolved. It's important to the individual to know that someone knows that they're here and is prepared to check in with them just throughout the morning or the afternoon, just to make sure they're okay, see how they're travelling, if there's anything that they need. And that could be, as I said, it could be a drink, it could be a meal, it could be just sitting with them while they wait for their matter to go into court.
I think because of the planning that goes into it and the staff that are there, it's been due to good planning that we actually don't get a lot of incidents on the day. It's normal for people to have a lot of anxiety when they come on the day, a lot of unknown things will occur, and so we obviously aim to get to identify that as early as possible and kind of manage that. And look, we're very tuned into that, and we would attempt to kind of move people into areas and spaces just to give them a chance to calm down and address their needs that way. So I think there's a lot of work that goes into preventing that, which is the whole aim of the day, considering you have people who are often at conflict with each other. So it's about how do we eliminate as much as possible any kind of triggers for that to occur.
The space here at the Neighbourhood Justice Centre is a more intimate space. It may not feel like that initially when people come to the court. They probably do feel quite exposed because there are a lot of people and there's a lot of activity and a lot going on. The space that we offer is a more intimate space. It's certainly visually a more appealing and calming space than some of the larger spaces at other courts where people just sit and mill around and anxiety feeds off anxiety and people get noticeably, visibly upset and distressed. And I'm not saying that that doesn't happen here at the Neighbourhood Justice Centre, but I think the way that we do our work and that we quietly go about quite industrious way, making that face-to-face contact with people really assists them in this sort of prettier, it's a much more aesthetically pleasing environment to feel more relaxed and comfortable while they're waiting to do the serious business of the court.
One of the big advantages of co-located services at the Neighbourhood Justice Centre that I think really contributes to the client's overall experience is that it's really a very multi-jurisdictional environment. So a client might come to court with a family violence intervention order issue, but there may be a whole lot of associated additional legal issues attached to that legal issue. So, for example, someone may be the applicant in a family violence intervention order matter, but they might also need to make a claim under the Victims of Crime compensation scheme. They might also need to have an amendment made to their public housing tenancy, so they might need some tenancy law advice. They might need some advice in relation to a infringements matter or a criminal law matter, or perhaps most commonly a family law matter. We also have a family law clinic that's actually available on Tuesday afternoons, Tuesday evenings at the Neighbourhood Justice Centre, so clients with family law legal issues can be referred directly from the Monday intervention order list.
The reason we meet on a Monday really is to coordinate our approaches to all the parties that come to court on Monday. It's to provide an update to services, so if we have additional services available, if we have any staff who are not available and how we're going to cover that. The team that meets on Monday is the dedicated team made up of various workers from the broader client services team, and together we support each other to provide support to our clients, and it's really that early intervention streamlined approach to get the necessary support to clients as early as we can.
So the staff on the day constantly monitor the court floor, utilising their skills in being able to pick people who need extra help.
Obviously something's happened to bring people here, so I can facilitate a conversation around this is what client services offer. If there's anything here that might be helpful to you, we can talk about that. And very often that will prompt someone to say, well actually, I'm not travelling so well today, I'm really stressed, I don't feel well, I've got to go home and take some medication. So I guess it depends on what the client discloses as to where my conversation goes.
Another huge advantage for clients here at the Neighbourhood Justice Centre is the direct service provision that's available on site. So on Mondays there's Berry Street, client services, homeground services for issues that might result of housing problems as a result of an intervention order, and also court network. So it's really great to be able to have those services available immediately on site to support victims of family violence.
That's how the centre operates, by not getting people to be linked in here necessarily, but we would link them into the community resources that we have. So depending on what their other needs are, we would link them in with addiction programs, mental health issues, GPs and so on and so forth. So ours is all about linking back to the community as a whole, recognising the community is part of the solution here.
Not only do they get expert advice in relation to their intervention order matter, they also have lawyers who are really linked into other relevant practice areas. We have a really wide range of legal practitioners available to clients. So there's Fitzroy Legal Service, but there's also Victoria Legal Aid. We service the duty lawyer list each Monday. If there is a conflict of interest between those two services, we also have Women's Legal Service essentially on standby, available via Skype as a third available service.
I guess for me, being part of the Monday process, that I call it, and I guess I use the word process as a worker, it has put me in a privileged position of working on the court floor to provide support, that personal or court support to clients. And so I would have to endorse that model that I have seen. It makes a difference in people's experience of coming to court to address these distressing matters and the issues that are going on in life that has brought them to court. And from some of the feedback that I've had from clients, I've just noted over the years some of the things people have said to me. It obviously makes a difference to the people's, individuals' experience of coming to court. Thank you for the support you provide. Thanks for what you do. It really makes a difference. You have provided me with a great deal of comfort. The follow-up and the follow-through has been amazing. Thank you for all your help. I really do appreciate it. I couldn't have done it without your support. I'm glad that you were there for me. So I guess there's really a theme of support. So that tells me that what we're doing is working. It's making a difference for the people that come to court to do the serious business that has brought them to court. And we can't change what's happened, but we can change the client's experience of being at court, and I certainly hope it makes a difference, and it would seem to me that it does.
What we know and what we will be putting in the public domain is actually that model is cheaper to run that way than a large number of the other diversionary processes that occur within the court system. Because what we can attest to is the number of clients that are referred to us, they stay with us, and that we keep them, we engage with them, and that we could say that both leads to the decrease in their recidivism and also gives us a cost efficiency in terms of how is it we provide such a broad range of service for quite an inexpensive price. Having worked in this area for the better part of 20 years, I have to say that this would be my preferred way of working. It's an absolute privilege to be able to work with such a dedicated team and to be able to make facilitated referrals within minutes of a client identifying what's going to be most helpful for them, and to be able to come upstairs and speak with my colleagues, and for them to be able to come down within 5 or 10 minutes and give a client their business card with their direct phone number, make an appointment either the same day, the next day, or within the next week. It's unbelievable. It's such a refreshing way of working and not having to scratch around to find resources that are available to provide support to client. You might have to wait for people to call you back, to wait a week or weeks even before a client can get an appointment to see other workers, and to have them just available on tap here in the client services team is just an amazing way to do our work.
I currently chair the Yarra Family Violence Network, which is a network made up of staff from within the Neighbourhood Justice Centre and also a whole range of stakeholders who work in and around the city of Yarra responding to family violence. I also sit on a number of other reference groups and networks, including reference groups connected to In Touch, our called communities Violence Against Women service, and also broader regional networks and also a court support providers network as well. The importance of the part I play in representing the centre out in these agencies and networks is that it's a powerful position to be integrated. So we're able to quickly pull together a number of people to look at a particular problem or a gap, or if there's been some slippage in a service response.
Another initiative that we have that we've been heavily involved in here for the last few years has been the White Ribbon Day. It started off with a group of the men that worked here at the NJC having a bit of a think about what we could do and add to the White Ribbon Days. Last year we had over 100 men here pledging the oath, which was fantastic. But we've branched out and now we're doing it in conjunction with not just the NJC males that work here, but we got involved with the local police, local fire brigade, City of Yarra got involved. So it's fantastic. You've got men from all these organisations that are sending a pretty clear message to the community about that violence against women is just not on. That's one program which I've been very proud to be involved with, and just see the growth each year has been fantastic.
I do hope that what comes out of this video today is that everything we do at the Neighbourhood Justice Centre can be done in any other court throughout the land. We hope that you will think some of our practices are good and that they do need to be placed elsewhere. We hope that you will think that the service we provide for women in need really does show a kinder, gentler side of justice. And we also hope that the Commission will find that courts must play an active role in their communities so that women can be safer in the future. And so I will leave it to you to make those types of judgments about where best you can place elements of what we do into the lawful processes that women need to use.